Hello and good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Paul Trani here. Gonna dive into today's design masterclass. That's right, 36 days of type started this week. Really wish this masterclass was on Monday, but hey, here we are on Friday, and we're gonna dive into or launch into, since we're using all these spaceship graphics into 36 days of type, really mastering typography tips, and honestly, just helping you come up with ideas as well. So there's a lot we can do, and I love 36 days of type because it's all about taking a simple design element, making it awesome. So I want to welcome General Kenobi, awesome, Michelle, audio and video are good, thank you, Michelle. Afrosia's here. Yeah, Jan, hello, Rix. Good morning, Rick. Cheers to you from me and my maple bourbon coffee. Oh, and my hair looks great. Thank you. I actually cut it myself last night because I'm crazy. Not really. I just haven't had a chance to go to the barber shop, and I was like, I'm just going to cut it myself. So here I am, Paul, with his amateur haircut. Going to dive into 36 days of type. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad you're here. So let's kind of switch over. You can see. Yeah. So 36 days of type. Hello, everyone. Let's kind of get launched into this. Can we talk about how hard this is to read? So this is what I would have done with this, is I would have separated this out by color, because it's just so hard to read. That's my 2 cents. Otherwise, I think it's fantastic. I would have just added a splash of colors instead of doing all black. So yeah, they will know. I always go in and it's like our come to Jesus meeting. I go into the barber. I'm like, hey, man, I cut my own hair. He's like, I know, Paul. Thank you, Frank. Oh, yeah, squash champion. Also, I played in the racquetball league this morning, and I'm undefeated in racquetball as well, B League. So I'm super happy about that. So what you do is you're going to create artwork, 36 days of type. Some of you may or may not know this, but you can go to 36daysoftype.com. Image entries are 1080 by 1080. We can always tag it 36 days of type, and then 36 days and whatever letter or number, ligature, or whatever. Letter or number that we're not doing ligatures. Ligatures is everything, but letter or number. And that's also the deal. So you could always do video entries, which would be super fun to do. You can go out to hashtag 36 days of type, peruse all that stuff, right? And we can get inspired this way, right? So you see lots of A's, B's, and C's on down the line, right? So that's what we're gonna dive in and make some fun stuff and try to knock out as many letters as we can, but really focusing on typography. I'm really into this. That's really cool. I like that. All right. Yeah, I'm undefeated in racquetball, guys. Had to play my nemesis today. I'm left-handed, and he's the other lefty in racquetball at Denver Athletic Club. So just so you know, what I did is you scroll down, you can see the days. We're actually clear up to Friday, A, B, C, D, and E, right? So just grab this. That's what I've done. Pull it off. You'll have this JPEG, and this is how I would actually set up your file. And again, if you haven't done this, my goal is to make this as easy on you as possible. So racquetball is a racket, isn't it? All right, so here's my blank file. So this is what I would do. We know that. Again, we're just going to deal with setup. This artboard happens to be 4,000 by 4. It's crazy big, but again, 1080. Oop, not 10. 1080. 10. I'm going to show you how to set this up, so it's going to be so easy. There we go. We'll zoom out, but this will be my A, right? And I need 36 days of this. So here's my A. I can go over to the side, go into artboards. This is artboard 1. We could just call that A, all right? So now we have this artboard selected. We can start to duplicate it. So artboards are just like any other shape. So with the artboard tool selected, we could select it and copy and then paste. So that's what we'll do. How many times? 7 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, of course. 5, 7, and 5. Okay, so we need 7 columns, 5 rows. V, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we are. Boom. Use your selection tool. Jump in, grab all of these. Guess what? Copy, paste, adjust. And you don't even have to get it perfect. But I'm just setting up all of these artboards. So all we need to do is jump into this file and start working. Again, this is just my way of doing things. You might have a better way, huh? For you? Sure. Why not? Drop that over there. Right? These are all crazy, by the way. So what I would do is I would go in and I would check out the... We have our artboard options, but we want to go into rearrange all. We want to rearrange all of these artboards, right? All 36 of them to columns of 7, and then it's obviously just going to kind of go down however many. It's going to give me six rows, and it's going to give me 20 pixels in between. Click OK. Boom. There we are. We're done. Hopefully this is helpful to you. I think it's awesome. Susan here is in the house. And then we have all our artboards. We'll just come down. Guess what? You could just hold up, do caps lock B, tab, C, D, E, right on down the line. This is going to make it super easy. And guess what? We have this file. Click and drag that in and position this. I should really just give you guys this file if you're interested. But, you know, then I would just take this, and this is kind of my template, right? Stretch that out. And then we're like good to go. To, you know, we have our master template, if you will. Cool. So I already went through this process, by the way. From there, do you guys know about guide layers? Check this out. You ready for this, Steve? We can double click on this layer, and we can make this a template, right? Make it a template, and we can dim everything on this layer, so it's never going to print. Not that we're going to print it, but dim it to about 20%. We'll click OK. Boom, there we are. And this is our template. Sure enough, I've already done this. I'll click over. This is like my version. You can still see the template or the guide, and then I have all my artboards. Everything is laid out right in here. All right, we're set up. So again, a non-periodic table of letters. Yeah, you could do, this is the best thing. And if you're a designer, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like, I absolutely love being able to do the rearrange all, right? Because I want everything to be so lined up and nice and tidy, and you know, have the numbers flow, or the letters flow the correct way, and all the things. So anyways, it's awfully cool. Right, so now I can begin sort of typing A, and that's what I've already done in here. Boom. Text tool, bam, there we are. We can begin. Yeah, so very cool. Thank you, Tanya. If you guys have questions, let me know. And if you're joining me elsewhere as I check the interwebs, and drink my coffee. Oh, just getting back into Illy. Oh, Illustrator? I like that nickname for Illustrator. Oh, darn, my keyboard is not working. Ah, curses. All right, Jordan, I see you over there. Welcome. Okay, so let's do this. Type this in, right? Here's my character, right? We could always resize it, right? What that does is that actually changes the size right off to the side. But basically, my properties panel is going to have everything, right? Yeah, let's go nuts now. I'm using Acumen variable concept, right? You can type in Acumen, right? Variable concept. This is what I love about concept fonts is, right, you click right here. You have additional weights, widths, slants, so you can be like boop, boop. But this is just going to be my starter file, okay? My starter or graphic, basically my starter graphic. So I just go with a sort of a generic Helvetica New and go from there. What do I take with my coffee? I currently have been drinking this, I wish I had it down here. Currently it's black actually, but I usually just put creamer in it. Some vanilla creamer, which is just sugar and fat. So yeah, it's such a nice font because you have this level of control with it, right? Which makes it really cool. Okay, but it's not going to stay this font for long. And honestly, what I would do, even for A, is I would turn off that guide layer, and I would just say, hey, we're going to do a bunch of different versions of the A. So right in here, we might pick another font because maybe we want to go just a different direction with it. We have our sort of sans serif if we decide on that. So you could establish, and I would not put this much weight on. The whole goal of 36 Days of Type is just to design, right? So don't think that you have to have a defined style with the letter A and continue that all the way through, because that's not going to happen. You know what that does? That doesn't show growth. We want our A, which is the first letter, and our 9, which is going to be the last, to be different, because that shows growth, right? Osama, I see you, Osama, there. So we go with that. We'll go over here. We'll type into Futura, right? Right, because Futura Medium has this like really sharp top point, which I'm totally into, okay? Which is, again, super cool. We'll take this Futura, I'll drag it down, maybe over here. From here, this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to outline this. So we'll come in here, we'll right click, we'll create outlines. We'll just remove this inner point right in here. So this is our sort of, we're taking the A and reducing it to sort of a basic shape. Okay, just like so. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. And again, we're just trying out some new things, some different ideas, because yeah, well, and then we'll just see how this goes. So we have this A. We'll go ahead and take and duplicate this a couple times more, right? Just so we have a backup. For this one, we could go beyond just the type tool. We could go into area type tool, for instance. So yeah, let's try area type tool. We'll click inside. Let's see, make sure this is right click. Release compound path. Anytime you're outlining something, you might have those compound paths if it has like a weird, if it has a knockout with it, basically. So come in here, we'll come click, and we'll type in, again, this is A, so we're going to go A on down the line. Let's select all of those. Basically, I put it inside. Let's take this down to, say, 12. Wait for it. There we go. Ready? I'm just going to start pasting all this in. Right? Again, this is just one idea. We're just having fun today, and I want to welcome you, Tanya, Marsha, everyone. Let's take all these. Let's copy them. Paste, 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 paste. Right, kind of like that. So here's just, again, one idea for the letter A. Let's increase the size of it so we can see it better, right? We can start to kind of see what we're getting for this. Maybe you're not crazy about it. That's why I'm going to do more with this. Of course, right? Take this, obviously, like resize it. But we basically have filled this with the A. And from here, I'd probably even start to adjust this a little bit. Hit the plus sign and give you the pen tool. Hit A will give you the direct selection tool, and we could move this so we get this perfect, like, just by changing the shape, we get this perfect, like, A. And I'm going to do more with this by the day. By the day? Where are my words? Struggle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9. Okay, I'm just moving these in. Holding down the shift key and arrows. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do you guys do that? I do it. All right. Oh yeah, that might be interesting. Trey says once you've completed a full set, you can enable it as a font. I would use good old Font Self Maker. So that's a great idea. Again, that's something you need to think about ahead of time because, again, you could have colors, but you can't have gradients. You can't make them too crazy complex if you want to turn it into a font, but it can be a multicolor font, right? And again, this is just our starting point, right? RA, let's bring this here. You know what else would be fun for this? Is, I don't know, I'm thinking... yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Well, thinking in my head, actually, about this. Anyways, let's continue with what I was doing. Just so you know, we're going to create outlines for all of this, right? So now we have, let's ungroup this. Oh, I don't even know. I guess we will see if this works. I now want to change these. I want all of these to be different colors, right? And I do this a lot. If anybody's hung out with me, you know that I use this plugin all the time. And to be honest with you, I probably should have changed this character because this is not a very bold character. So I should have made it a little more bold. But what I do want to do is I want to make each one a different color, right? And all I'm doing is selecting each one, picking the swatch, right? It's going to take me forever. So that's why I want to introduce you to this plugin that I'm going to show you right now. First thing I might want to do is I might want to define the colors that I'm going to use in my design. So I want to use these bold colors because I'm all about like the hot pink and the electric green and then of course a purple, right? Kind of go in with this sort of color scheme. Let's pull down this blue. I haven't decided if this is, if I go with the teal or the actual blue, but I'm basically just setting up my colors. In fact, you know what? Let's just go with these four. These are global colors. We're going to be able to change them later. I'll double click. Sure enough, it's a global color, so I can change it later. Aviation Gin. Oh, yay, Tanya. First time for you doing 36 days of type. Yeah, it's a commitment, but man, you know, it's like anything worthwhile might be a little difficult. So yes, it can be daunting, 36 days, but I believe that you can do it. All right, so from there, we're going to select everything. We're going to shift select these colors, selecting these four colors. And I'm going to go to File, Scripts, and I'm going to do a random swatches fill. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Just reading up on comments. Random swatches fill, right? What does it do? Sure enough, it does what we expected it to. Fills it all with those colors that I have selected. Okay, cool. Cheers, folks. Shall we try something else that's kind of fun and might be kind of ridiculous? You guys like ridiculous? This one is a little bright, so I would consider like, you know, do I change the background? You know, what do I do with the background would be my next step here. By the way, like, do I leave it like that? Does it have a background? Does it not have a background? It's just decisions that I need to make in this case, right? I didn't actually kind of like save the shape, but anyways, here's the shape. You know, wait for it. I'm going to make this white. And then beneath it, we're going to have a black send to the back. So again, just another option that we can work with. All right. But again, I still want to focus on typography. Lamia, good to see you. Good morning. Jenna as well. Cool. All right. So again, this is just like one idea. I want to stay true to this description because I still want to use the typography tool a lot. So all we did is we filled this shape with the letter A. We could take that sort of to the next step as well. Again, let's just maybe select this here, this shape. bring it over here. And we could potentially like do an outline. So let me show you the additional options that you have that you probably didn't even know you had, right? So rather than using the area type tool, we're going to go do type on a path, right? Going over here, type on a path, roll over that path, click. I'll click on it. Come on now. I always have this non-compound. If you ever get this pop-up, by the way, you must click on a non-compound, non-masking path. It's basically saying, hey, man, hey, Paul, this is all way too complex. What are you even doing? Right? So all you do is right-click and release compound path, right? So if we take a look, in fact, let's just take a step back, because here's another way to just determine what's going on. Twirl this down. We could see over here in my layers panel, there we go. We could see that it says compound path over here as well. So honestly, I usually just jump in and do it, and then I do a release compound path. Now it's all of a sudden a path. Thank you very much. Oh, Bruce, how you doing, man? Appreciate you, Bruce. Hey, Bruce, what you up to, buddy? How's life treating you today? So now we could click, and then we have this, of course. So we could have that A all the way around. You know you make that sound when you're typing in one letter over and over again. But there it is. The A's going all the way around like so. What's nice is this is always a font. We can increase the size. We could have some fun with this. So this is what I was mentioning a second ago. So do you do several options and then pick one you like? Yeah, I'm just kind of experimenting. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, I want to show you how to use different type options. So that's the reason for doing these many different styles. You know, if I was really doing 36 days of type, I would focus on something I want to learn. And I'm getting more into 3D. I would probably do 3D. I would use Stager. I would probably mock something up in Illustrator, maybe use the 3D tools in Illustrator, but it would have a 3D component, and we could always get into that. Okay, so here this is, right? We can maybe take this down a touch, right? But this is something we could do. Maybe we don't want them all facing outward. Well, we can go to type. We'll go down to type on a path, and currently what's selected is rainbow, right? And a number of these, but let's go into type on a path options. Right in here, we can go just flip it. So we could flip it so it's actually on the inside. So that might be a cool way to align this. And again, here's those same options right in here. So we can say, hey, you know what? Let's skew it. And again, flip it. But we have it skewing so they're all standing straight up, right? We could take this. Hey, we want to do a 3D ribbon. And just giving me somewhat of a ribbon effect. But here you could just kind of take... I'm kind of into this stair-stepping. This stair-stepping is kind of cool too. And then we have gravity as well. You could always play with the spacing. There we go. But again, kind of neat that you have these additional options. I don't know if anybody knew any of this stuff. Did you? Tanya's doing 3D right now. Awesome. So again, here's this kind of standing up on one end, right? We could still do the same thing, try the same technique we had over here by colorizing and all that stuff too. Okay. I love the idea of breaking shapes, or excuse me, letters down into sort of their basic shapes. Right? Like right here we have our A. What did I do? Just removed the negative space. But with this again selected, and maybe this is an actual ligature. I don't know. I should probably make it an actual font. So maybe I'll do that really fast. Let me just change the color. You know, do an extrude and bevel on this. That's all. All right, just catching up on comments. Waiting for this to load. I should really save this file. Checking the time. This is going a little slow. And I apologize for that. Okay, there we are. Here we have our 3D extrude. I love isometric, so let's give that some isometricness to it, like so. Adjust the lighting, right, which is going to be like the rotation, right? You can kind of see that doing its thing. We could say, hey, let's throw some shadows in there. Here's the shadow behind the object. Can I adjust the distance? But what I want to do is do below the object, and now we can see that shadow kind of traveling around that A. So I can consider doing something like this. Let's make it a little higher, right? Like so. Increase the shadow bounds, distance from the object. So we're going to make sure it's standing sort of right on that that ground there. And yeah, you get the, hopefully you get the idea. Yeah. Yeah. Softness. And then let's make it a little higher like so. Okay, with that done, right up here at the top, let's just do some ray tracing and render this just to see what we get. And this is where we'll wait a second, right? But again, just an option. I've actually created a 3D object, so I can actually export whatever weird shape I make in 3D by extruding whatever. And I can bring that into Stager and do even more with it. Okay. But this too is like, hey, you know what? Welcome to 3D where you got some rendering to do. So we'll wait for it. And as this is doing its thing, we could even jump into Photoshop. But know that one thing I want to talk about is sort of copying and pasting from Illustrator to Photoshop. We can maintain a lot of these properties these days, which is awesome. Paul, in Stager, do you get the sides separated out so you could maybe apply different materials to each? You can't. So you will get the front, you'll get the sides, you'll get a bevel. Those will all be like the 3 planes. You'll get the back, right? So yeah, maybe not each side might not be a thing, but anyways, this is taking way too long. Yeah, save money on haircuts. This is taking too long. I'm hitting exit. Yes, Carlos. I would love a fast machine with a super fast render video card would be great. Where are the skulls and flowers? Oh, don't you worry. I can add as many of those as I want. Okay, so right in here, maybe what I will do. Geez, I can't even click anywhere. This is kind of driving me nuts. So I do happen to... Again, for the sake of time, I could jump into Photoshop and really hope this doesn't take too much longer. Right? We can do the same thing in Photoshop. So image size, 1080. by 1080. Now, of course, the difference between Illustrator and Photoshop is going to be raster based. So what I'd want to do is I would make this twice the size. So asterisk 2. So multiply by 2. So 2160. That's what I would do for the canvas size if I was working in Photoshop, just to give me a little bit more room, just so it's larger. Okay, finally, it's done. Isn't it beautiful? Right? So that's what we want, right? We want to be able to see all this gorgeous rendering, this fall off. Look at that bounce light, like that color in there. That's something that I actually was not expecting, but super interesting. And now we have that for us, right? Really cool. Alrighty, so that's done. That one looks good. I want to get back into this. So I'm going to do a little bit more of these, if you don't mind. Let's do this. Again, we're still talking about characters and stuff. Let's take all of this. And again, the whole idea is to give you some ideas for 36 Days of Type. Let's do this. Let's do this one just for fun. I'm going to have this little center point. Which is going to be just this little red dot, okay? And let's just try this out. Let's take this red dot. Let's take all of these. I'm going to put everything on its own layer. There we go. All this stuff is what we have. We have this wonderful ellipse. The ellipse is going to be on the top. It's going to be the topmost layer. So let's go up. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. Okay, so this little dot is in the topmost layer. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to show you this script as well. So we used a script, random swatches fill. Ooh, there's so many fun things we could do in here. I love this stuff. I'm going to do a rotate toward point. So we're going to have all these sort of rotate toward a point. Unfortunately, I think they're going to all kind of point away from it, but let's click OK. This is, again, just like a different look. I'll remove that, but now we have, technically everything is pointing to it. I would technically need to flip everything, which is a whole other deal, and we can do that as well. But isn't that kind of cool? Do you guys like that? I kind of like it. Again, just a different idea, something we can do for 36 Days of Type. All right. So cool. So that is called, by the way, just to reiterate, it is rotate toward point. All right. But let's try a couple other things. Because what if I have, let's just try this. Let's take this shape. Maybe it's an A. Let's go back to our A. We're going to make this larger. Turn off those other shapes. And let's just do, I think that you'll find this beneficial. I certainly hope so. But we have this, actually we don't even need a circle. Let's do this. We have a shape and we want to fill it with a bunch of things. What I used earlier was, I just used the area type tool, right? But what if you want to fill an area with a shape, right? I'm going to show you one way to do this, okay? So it's a multi-step process, but it's pretty cool, right? So we have this outline. I can go to this script. It's called Circle Fill, okay? I don't know who Phil is, but he likes circles. So we're going to have this. The max size is maybe 10% of the size. Minimum size is 2% of it. No distance in between the color. Hey, let's make him green. Hey, why not? No, let's go with blue. We'll do that. We'll click OK. Hold on one second. Release compound path. I'm sure that was the case. Oh, Paul, when will you learn? Circle fill. 10, 2, you know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But you know what? That just goes to show that when you are using any sort of script, they're not from us. Who knows who made them? You know, they might work, they might not. In this case, it's not working, and it's driving me nuts. Dang it. Let's use a star. Let's try this again. I'm just going to draw out a basic shape because maybe it was my issue, which, you know, hey, is more often the case. All right, so that script is not working, and I apologize for it. Trying to see if there's anything else in here that you could do random opacity, random resize. That's all. And the reason I'm pointing out scripts is as we got into all this craziness, as your projects get more complex, you might want to think about ways that you can make it a little bit more efficient. That's all. And that's where scripts come into play. You know, for all of these, for instance, we can go in and give them more variety. So we can give them a random opacity from 0 to 100. There we go. I just gave them all sort of a random opacity, selecting it again. We'll go in and we'll give them a random resize from 0 to 100. Right, and now they're all different sizes at different opacities. Does it have to be a circle? No. Bobby Orlando, good call. Like, good call. But no. But again, this is getting to be maybe a little bit more respectable for 36 days of type, if you ask me. Okay. Dr. Phil from the show. All right. Let's move on. All right, so let's do this. Let's try this really fast as well. Let's say, for instance, and maybe we'll go to this one for instance. We'll take this. And I'm realizing that, I don't know, maybe after the fact that I really would like to change this shape. Right? So all of these, how the heck do we change this shape? Okay? This is actually like baked into good old Illustrator, which is awesome. So you have a multitude of these. These could all be different sizes. So I'll just run this script just to prove it. We'll go into scripts. We'll do random resize. So they're all going to be different sizes. Right? How do we select them all, especially if they're like different colors? Imagine if they're all different colors, whatever. But right in here, we can select this object. We can go to the properties panel. If you select one, we can now say do a start global edit. So that's what I'm going to do. Start global edit. It recognizes all of those shapes. So now I can come in and decide, hey, you know what? I want to maybe eliminate that center point. What it does is it eliminates it for every single one of them. Right? And again, super cool. Right? We can do that again. Selecting that object, start global edit. There they all are. Changing the color to, say, a blue. And they all change accordingly. Since we're dealing with this A, and again, this is all about the creative process, I'm even thinking that, you know, maybe this is like, all right, I kind of misclicked a little bit, but let's just do this for fun. I'm actually adding, so not only changing, but I'm adding some points right in here, because I want to make this look like it's like a mountain top, right? So I guess where this design is taking me is I'm thinking the A could stand for Alps, for instance. So I'm just kind of giving it somewhat of like a snow cap, right? Like that. I don't know if that looks like a snow cap or not. Shift C, we could round this content, round these out like so. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. But there it is, and you can see it changed for all of them. A stands for Alps. Cool. Let's move that over. Can you do a global edit only on a subset? Yeah, like Richard, I would isolate it, and that's what I did. Is I put everything on its own layer and locked everything else, like turned off everything else. So that kind of enabled me to do it. I don't know what you mean by subset. If you have a compound shape and you're like 3 levels deep, it's only going to do it on the level that you're at. Just so you know, if you're like, I don't know, in a symbol or a compound shape, it's only going to do it at that level. Okay. But again, this could be the case. Maybe I literally take this, I say, you know what, this is going to be sort of the theme is going to be like the Alps, and we can kind of continue on from there. All right. So another thing I want to do, since we're still talking about type, let's turn on all of these and see where we're at. A number of these are created. We used that one. We can take this one. And I'm just going to play with a couple more things real fast. We'll bring this over. All right, this is just a minion variable concept font. Right over here, we can, I absolutely love this. So let's clear that. We can go to find more fonts. And what it's doing is it's actually loading Adobe fonts into Illustrator. So for this A that I have selected, let's make it a little larger. It's actually cycling through fonts that I haven't even installed yet, which just blows my mind. I'm glad Adobe is working on this sort of efficiency. Like syncing fonts and stuff like that, yeah. Just make my life easier. Remove those roadblocks, basically. And help me come up with, you know, something kind of cool. And that's all I'm doing is exploring these other options through Adobe Fonts. It is still kind of pinging the servers while I'm live streaming, so all this content, again, is just loading up, and it might take a little while. But this is giving me other ideas, like this one, for instance. Let's take this one. Acroterion JF regular. I will usually favorite it, click that button, and now I'm activating it. So Acroterion, I'm not going to remember that name, but what I do know is I have easily access to my favorites. So right in here, we'll click. There it is. It's actually syncing now. But you could see under my favorites, here's like all my favorites. Just like, there's a lot of really good ones. Oh. So again, it's still activating it. Could be a pretty big font since it is like a script font. So that's why it's taking a hot second. Yeah, luckily there's the weekend to catch up. I agree. Okay, so anyways, this is taking too long. So I was just going to pick something else anyways. So I will sometimes take a letter like so. Something with a lot of curves, pretty cool. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this as a guide as well. So taking this, let's just put it on its own layer. Like I mentioned earlier, you could always double click on that layer and turn it into a template at, say, 20%. And then realize that it did not really dim it 20%. Did it now? Shame on Illustrator. Anyways, there we go. Wait for it. N for pencil. Curate favorite lists. Yeah, I agree, Penny. Yeah, I would love more of the... What is the, remember Suitcase? The Suitcase sort of font management system. Notice how we don't really use that anymore? At least I don't. All right. All right, so what I think I have turned on is it's rendering out that 3D letter A, which took a little while, which is why this is coming up. Right? It's trying to render it, and that's what I apologize for. So to make this easier, I put these all on artboards. If we do asset export, so go to Window, Asset Export, we can kick out all of those artboards, or even just go to File, Export. We can export them. I have about 9 minutes. Yeah, Suitcase, the horror. Remember when like the reason it would take forever for Photoshop or any app to open was the fonts that get loaded? That was more of a font loading issue is what we had. That's why we needed Suitcase. What's the OG? I don't know the OG Masters of the Universe logo font. That's a good question. Of course, we know the original title art obviously was not a font and was painted, but super cool. You speaking my language. I just got Mechaneck a little bit ago. So yes, he's one of the Masters of the Universe. Apologize for this taking a little bit of time because that is rendering. Wait for it. Wait for it, folks. We do have Terry White coming up next for his design, his masterclass, photography masterclass, which is always fun to watch. Because basically what I was going to do with that is I was just going to sort of like outline that A, and I was basically going to sort of make my own stroke, sort of writing over the letter A, and I could just as easily do the same thing. I'd probably use Illustrator on my iPad for it to do its thing. All right, finally, that took forever. Okay, we're getting into a little bit of hand lettering, but just using the pencil tool. Let's draw that. Let's flip it. If you're curious about your settings for your pencil, if you double click, you can see I have it set to smooth. So we're going to get all these smooth lines. I can keep it selected. You're going to use that if you feel like you're going to have to redraw over that same stroke. So in this case, I would probably turn that on, right? Hopefully everybody can see that. I use this a lot. Option key will toggle to the smooth tool so you can smooth it out, right? So there's that. That looks pretty good. Come up here. Let's do a little loop. And do something fun like that. So there that is. We'll select these lines, go into brushes, and yeah, since it's my design, I could pick some flowers or some leaves. But more importantly, I have all these like fun shapes, fun brushes that I have created. Notice how we get these weird angles and different little points. Like even this part right here gets a little wonky, right? Shift C, and I can just give that, make sure that has that nice loop so we don't get that sharp edge, right? So we can get rid of that part. Could also get rid of, and maybe you like it. I don't mind it. I don't mind these like flat ends. They're not bad, right? But let's just see how a couple of these other ones look. That one's not bad, right? But what if we want to taper it in? Sure enough, change the width profile is what we're doing here. Click, and now we can see it kind of tapers out. And again, looks kind of cool. Looks a little bit like I'm getting Dr. Seuss vibes from this. Just so you know, what was I using? I was actually using a Wacom pen. I was just about to switch to Illustrator on my iPad and use Apple Pencil. If I had time, I would do that. But anyways, here we are. From there, we use this width profile. I'm thinking, okay, not bad. Kind of want to extend this down a little bit more and use my width tool. So like give me the ability to adjust the width. So let's take a look in here. It's giving me this little point right here. It's like, hey, you want to add you want to make it a little thicker right here, just click and drag, and we can make it a little thicker along this point, right? So just kind of playing with that and making it look maybe a little bit more unique. Okay, so what if, here's my question for you, Tiago and Richard, what if we wanted this curl to go in front of instead of behind that part, right? How would we do that? Can we have this in front? If you select that path, go to Object, we'll go down to Path, and sure enough, we want to reverse path direction. Click there, and now we can see that this part is in front of it. So just go to Edit Path, Reverse Path Direction. Excuse me, Object, Path, Reverse Path Direction. Oh yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas vibes. Totally get it, right? Okay, thinking out loud. Kinda not. You ready for this? This is really exciting. And I'm gonna run out of time, I know it. But I wanna add shading to this. I wanna make this look like a tube. When you make brushes, you actually cannot have gradients in here, right? But I think we can get around that. Let's just try this. I'm gonna go in here, we're gonna go down to my appearance panel, and we're gonna add a new appearance. I'm gonna select this shape first, just so we can see it, this shape right here. We wanna give it a gradient, just a nice gradient. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna add a fill to it. So this fill is gonna be, you know, and I'm not adding a fill to it, I have to outline it. So let me think about this. Think, Paul, think. We got this, folks. Oh, I know I'm going to run out of time. Dang it. Hurry, Paul. There it is. I put one stroke on top of the other. Changing the width profile, cranking up the size, right? And again, I'm kind of doing this off the cuff. This should work. Notice how it's going from light to dark, from left to right. If we click on stroke, hold on, wait for it. If we click on gradient right in here, we can change this to apply the gradient along the stroke or across the stroke. I want to do across the stroke. I'm going to go back into Appearance. I'm going to click on Opacity, and I'm going to change this to, say, Overlay or Darken, or that's ugly, Multiply. But that's how I can just kind of throw some shading in there in a unique way, in my opinion. Right? Look, we just added shading to that. Isn't that cool? So anyways, we're well on our way. We have this done. We could always save this as a style and then reapply it. Let's see if we could just sample that. I just sampled it. And again, that's how we create some fun piping without using, you know, the blend tool. So thank you so much, everybody. Yes, Bobby Orlando, Cody Bear, Reverb Mike. Man, I wish I was live streaming again today. But here you can see we probably made about 4 or 5 different designs. Some are layered on top of another, but you get the idea. For 36 days of type, you have plenty of options. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Coral, I see you over there from Brazil. Thanks for joining me. And yeah, put all the shades. Yeah, super fun. I'm really leaning toward this. I think this is going to be really fun. Because this is why I love Illustrator. So everything's vector. I can manipulate that all day long and always change my mind, because that happens all the time. So thank you so much for hanging out with me this fine Friday. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Terry White. Yeah, throw some lens flares in there and we're done. Awesome. Thank you so much, Bruce, Jan, everybody. Stay in touch. Keep in mind I'll be posting this to the social medias as well. Thank you.